All right, yeah, we'll get started, and feel free if you have any questions to stop me. What I plan to do today is pretty much just uh, do what I usually do on the orientation call, showing all the tools that we have available. And then I know we have a number of people that are newer to the industry. So I'm just going to be going over just some essentials of solar cells, be doing that. And then my role, of course, Mike is helping grow the area in Florida. So he's going to have, he's going to be your go-to person. My role, of course, is support. So if there's anything you need, um, especially once you're inside the Home Depot stores, whether logging into the different portals, whatever it is, I'm here to help. And so there's and we'll be talking about it. There are a few things that are coming on board real soon. Now, Mike, who's going to be working the Home Depot stores? Is that everybody or what's
In the stores right now, it is John, myself, and Jana, which she had to work this morning, but she's
okay?
going to be on. And
Yeah.
then um, Tiffany, which is terrific. What is it?
Uh,
Tifferific. Tiffany, and then Mike Senior. They'll be doing. They were wanting to do the remote sales. So if we get
okay.
leads with Walmart, um,
Okay.
yeah, Tiffany has a lot of experience working over the phone.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah.
So she's actually in New York, but
Oh, okay.
she's 100% on board.
All right. Awesome. And what we've noticed, so this past week was our first week inside of Home Depots. Over here, we're in 7 stores, and it's exceeded our expectation when it comes to leads we're taking in. Now, one thing, especially when you're in the stores, is because it's a different experience. You can be just good on sales, just killing it on sales, but it's a different experience when you're standing at a kiosk. And so I know the first 3 shifts, I was like, man, maybe this is not a good thing. And then after you get a comfort level, they're just starting to trickle in. So it's exciting. So what happens also is because those clients need to be contacted. So in fact, repeatedly. So you'll probably be getting some leads where once you quit working and pass them on to somebody else that can keep on following up on the leads and make them into sales. That's what we've noticed. So all right, so let me jump into this. I'm gonna do a share screen. Now, any questions before we get started? Any just general questions? No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you just some of the tools that are available. In fact, we have this set up already for most everybody on the team. We just not need to just pretty much just turn it all on. So um, everybody will have a company email. So on your email will be your first name. We have somebody else that's joining. Now, question: who is Jason? I didn't see him on the list.
That's me,
Uh,
sir.
Yeah,
yeah.
Jason's my guy in Fresno, California.
Oh, okay, great. Yes. Okay, so here local. That's great. Awesome. Awesome. So we're looking at getting a Walmart, which I mean that by it's exciting in Fresno, um, Fresno, Los Banos, and a few other ones. But anyways, we could talk about that later date. So everybody will have an email. Once you decide that you're going to join officially, the email will be your first name at Solar Energy Plus. We try to make it look, I know if you received any emails from Mike, just people feel more comfortable when they get an email from a corporate account instead of Yahoo or Gmail or whatever it is. So we'll set you up. Now, Mike, we received a list from you. I think there was 5 names. I don't. Is there anybody else that we need to add to that? Just
Jason,
Jason? Jason,
Jason.
okay, all right. Um, Now, initially, your emails, because a lot of people do not like having multiple email accounts. We're gonna set it up where it forwards to your personal email that you provided. You're able to cancel that. I'm in my work email all the time, so I don't need to forward it to my personal email. But if we're gonna set it up that way, just in case most people don't like having multiple accounts. Let's see. Everybody on the team will have their own landing page. Again, when you're in sales, we market ourselves. We don't necessarily market the company. I'm proud of what we have as a company, but as salespeople, we like to market ourselves. So everybody will have their own landing page. Let's see. Yeah, so on your landing page, have a short bio, your clients on your digital business cards, on your marketing flyers, it'll getsolarplus.com/your name, and your clients will be able to put in their information, upload their utility bills. So again, it allows you to market yourself. So we'll have this set up for everybody in the Florida team. Okay, so the other thing, you do have access to wholesale pricing on products. There's not a single dollar markup. So what the prices you see here are not the prices you would get them at. But if you need something that's going to push the client over the edge to move forward with the sale, we're trying to give you all the tools so that you can complete the sale. So for example, this is um, um, uh, a personal generator. So this is a small generator that you can use indoors. So if they were to get this in a store, the retail price is actually $5.99. We have it at $4.99, which is the lowest marketing price that they allow us to have it. They do not allow us to market below a certain price, so that's what we have there, the lowest marketing price. But you would get it for $3.35. But again, this is just some examples where if something like this will help you complete the sale, you have access to this kind of stuff. Okay. Now, our website, it's not just for, customer facing, but it is like our hub. It's our like a sales portal where we have all our information and we're constantly adding to it. So everybody will have access to this. In fact, we'll send everybody a welcome email. And the password right now, if you want to write it down, is spring 2024. And we do change this like every 45 days. So spring 2024, capital S. Okay. So on our so in the sales portal, you will find, a recommended video. Usually it's supposed to be the most recent sales meeting. Marketing flyers. We have a library of marketing flyers. So the sales reps that are on the team, you're able to do both residential and commercial. So you can choose what you like and we can personalize it. Again, everything that we have on here is going to have your information. It's not going to have the company information. So we'll have this all set up with your information personalized for yourself. Again, just go ahead and go through all of this. We do digital business cards, with our phones, we're able just to reach out to more people, right? So on the digital business card, you just want to save the picture onto your phone photos and text them out as needed. And it has the white edges in case you want to print them out yourself. So we do have door hangers. Everything on our website, you can download yourself, print yourself. The door hangers, they are a special order. Let's just say you make a sale in a certain neighborhood and you decide you want to canvass the immediate neighbors. So you want to put door hangers, your neighbor has gone solar, right? So this is the one piece of printed material that is a special order. You do pay for it. I want to say it's I'm going from memory. I want to say it's like $43 for 50 door hangers. Okay, so if that's something you want, we can order for those for you. Again, yeah, just go through that. Roof and solar. We have the commercial bifold has quite a bit of information, and then we have the residential bifold. Also, if you want to give a client a rebate, we have the solar rebate letter. And pretty much, again, it's just another tool that will help close a deal. Of course, you don't want to be giving a rebate on every deal, but if that will help a client, move forward with the sale, you could do like a 3-month rebate. What we mean by that is if their new lease payment's going to be, let's just say $170, they would get a check after closing from the company for that amount if you do a 3-month or 6-month. Now, if you choose to do a rebate or you choose to give um, whatever a rebate, that would come from your commission. So you want to take that into consideration when you're pricing your deal. And we'll go over how to price a deal in a minute. So that's our lease flyer. Any questions on that? Okay. Then if you, of course, it's important to stay in front of the clients, making sure the people that are our circle of influence, they know that we're doing solar. So these are social media posts that you can download and just post them on whatever social media platform you have. So they're JPEGs. You could just download them. Again, a lot of this information might be specific to California. Any information, if you see a flyer or you see a marketing piece, something that another team is doing in Florida, I will duplicate it. Just give me 24 hours and we'll get it done. So if you see something you like, we can get it done. That's pretty much what I do. My role is just support. So yeah, you can go through what we have.
Adam,
Yes,
question.
yes,
I mean, if it's not broken, it's working, why fix it? It's working for you guys, right, in California?
yeah, it's working well. The only thing what I made reference to was some of the stats would be based on California stats, such as PG&E. That's our biggest. There was a few of the social media posts based on PG&E. We pay the most expensive electric rates in the nation here in California, but so whatever would be significant in that market, then we will make it specific for that market. Yeah, so just let me know, and again, we'll get it done. Then you have the document, then you have the document library. These are stuff you could download right there on the spot. It pretty much has all the flyers and additional stuff. Like this one's financing terms, just to share with the client. So all the flyers, but these flyers, if you download these flyers, let's just say you're going to meet with the client in 10 minutes and you want a commercial flyer and you don't happen to have the commercial flyer. Well, it's going to take me a little while to get it done for you. So you can download the commercial flyer right here. Let's see. Yeah, you can download the commercial flyer. The only thing is it has our company information here. You just want to make sure you put your information. So again, you're able to download everything. There are tools on the bottom when you're doing leases. Leases have, in fact, we'll talk about this in a little while. You have the option of doing a lease with an escalator, without an escalator. When you tell the client the payment's going to go up 3%, well, they don't know what that translates into. For them, 3%, they could, in their mind, could be thinking, what's that? $50 a month, $80 a month. When in reality, for example, on this client, their bill was 176. When it went up 3%, it went up to 181. So that small $5 increase is not something major. So again, this is just our escalator tool. So again, we have a few different tools here. Go ahead and explore those. And then we also have industry news, just staying on top of just things that are happening in the industry. These tend to change every 30 days. We change these right here. Okay. So that's pretty much our sales portal. If you hover over the sales portal, there's some additional drop downs. Our learning center, especially for those who are newer in the industry. These are our training videos. We are a direct dealer with SunPower, so you'll see a lot of their stuff. In fact, we added a few more companies, so you'll be seeing a lot more training videos. In fact, again, let's see, John, you've been in this industry for a while, correct? You've done solar before? Is it? And then
Apologies. I did get training. I worked with Mike for a while, but
Good.
no, I'm gonna have to say, no, not actually hands-on and
Okay.
you know, being out in the market itself. Got
Okay.
plenty of experience
Yeah.
and indoor and so on.
Yeah,
But
and that's what we're finding. In fact, some of the individuals, in fact, we had somebody at the Home Depot store this past Friday who's brand new to the solar industry, and he did better. He got more appointments and leads than everybody on our team. I mean, he was just a solar. You know, I went over there his first shift, and I'm thinking I'm going to be showing him some stuff. The way he engaged clients was amazing. I was taking notes. But the reason I mentioned this right here is because there's training videos that will allow you just to feel a little bit more comfortable. There's also, because we're dealer partners with some other companies like Sonova. If you're going to be in Home Depot, you're going to be selling Sonova products. There's we have their knowledge center, which again gives us a lot more training articles and videos. So there's a lot of resources there, because when we're an industry, you know, when we're doing solar cells, we want to be industry experts, right? So the more we immerse ourselves, the more confident we'll be, and it will translate into more sales. Um, so that's our learning center. We're constantly adding to that. And then the last part of this is our intake form. Now, this intake form is for your non-Home Depot transactions. Okay, so if you have a family member, a friend, whatever, they show interest for solar, then you would take them to the intake form. If you are going to Home Depot, they're very specific. We use their portals, and we'll send you all those links. And so we'll send that to you. In fact, they don't want us to write down or capture any client information separate, excuse me, from what you add to the portal. But in the meantime, so if you have a client that you're doing solar for, your own client, everybody will have their name in here. Okay, we still need to add the Florida team, but you would, you know, add your name, residential, commercial, whatever it might be. This has to be accurate. One thing that everybody on our team's doing for whatever reason is they put the mailing address, but they do not put the city. So as you can imagine, you know, if you're doing 1540 Elm Street. Well, guess every city has an Elm Street. Every city has a center, you know, whatever it is. So it's important to add the city. That's like our biggest hurdle that keeps us from being able to prepare a quote. So I can't overemphasize that. We need the city. So a client email, best contact information, best time to call, what's their motivation, monthly savings, and a simple, you know, which is most people's monthly motivation, but or motivation, but there are some people that are product specific. We have one client in San Jose that they only want Tesla product. That's all. They don't want anything else. So knowing that kind of stuff does help. Does anyone in the household require electricity for medical devices? Okay, that's kind of a big deal. I know Florida, it's, you know, it's not a big thing to get batteries over there. But if somebody has a medical issue, and they have a a rolling blackout, then they're going to want to have a battery with backup. That way, they have access to their medical device, whatever it might be. I mean, there's alternatives. You could also, if it's cheaper, because batteries are expensive, you know, you could also always give them one of the personal generators that we showed earlier. What's their electric utility usage? Right, they have to be on title, right? So they're the ones that can make the decision whether to move forward with solar. Type of roof is huge. The type of roof determines, there could be an add-on to the cost. So finding out the type of roof. MPU stands for main panel upgrade. So when homes are newer, very likely it's not going to need main panel upgrade. But if it's an older home, usually you do. And the reason you mention that is because, again, there can be a cost associated with it. And in fact, we have a tool that we're going to be sending out to the team this week where there's a way you can do a calculation. If you have access to take a picture of the main panel, electrical panel, that's a good thing to upload when you're submitting a request, because there's a way of knowing if you're going to have to do a main panel upgrade or
Is there a specific age or date of fabrication of the home that we should really kind of just have that red line?
Pretty much everything that's about 15 years or older, there's a very good chance if they haven't upgraded, there's a very good chance they're gonna need to do a main panel upgrade. There's workarounds. There's what's called the Hawaiian tap. Go ahead.
There's a 2001 code change that it made, for example, here in Florida, that everything has to be updated to BIRD, and every county has to be per that state code in itself. It has to do, I don't know about in California about the earthquake stuff, but over here is hurricane, so
okay.
Right, so excuse me.
Yeah, so over here they don't have like a blanketed rule that they require people to upgrade. So what we've been noticing is when homes are over 15 years old, that pretty much they're needed if they haven't done any upgrades. Again, if Florida has required that already, upgrades, then there's a good chance that you won't need MPU upgrades. So, and they do cost. So the electricians, they cost anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to do those main panel upgrades. There are workarounds. There's what's called the Hawaiian tap, and then there's what's called the D rate, where it cuts the cost to, a fraction of that. So if we can work around it and still give the client a system that's going to, meet all their needs, then we'll try not to do an MPU upgrade. EV chargers, I think Florida is the third fastest state adopting electric vehicles. So if they need an EV charger, yes, no. Ground mounts, that adds quite a bit of cost, but there are some people either their roof is 2-story homes, they may not have enough roof space to put panels, or they have a large property and they want to do a ground mount. So it does add. That is one of the more expensive upgrades. So you can do a ground mount, you can also do a carport. The carport and the ground mount, it's just a small difference in cost. My personal opinion, if you're going to go that route, add a few $1,000 and get the carport, and then you have a multi-use option there. Do they plan to make any modifications on the property? This is huge because when you're building a system, one thing we don't want to do is build a system that's not adequate. I don't know if they had this in Florida, but over here, they were marketing Go Solar for $79 a month. And what these companies were doing were they were putting 6 panels on a house, regardless of the needs of that home. So what they would do is they would tie up a house, put panels on it, but then the clients would, later on they would get upset because the system wasn't big enough. So what we do as a company is we try to offset anywhere from 103 to 107%. Whatever their history usage is, we try to offset 103, 107. Now, if the client plans to make modifications or life changes that are going to change their usage, then this is where you're going to want to notate it, such as, are they going to retire? Now they're going to be home more. Or are they going to add an addition to the home? Are they going to add a swimming pool, a jacuzzi? Are they going to do an ADU? So ADUs are very popular right now in California. The accessory units, granny units, whatever it is. Are they going to get electric vehicle? Electric vehicles use a lot of energy. So knowing that type of stuff allows you to build a system that's going to benefit them. Now, this next portion is for commercial. Again, commercial is going to require more engagement from our team, because those they're bigger systems, and there's just more moving parts. But you can collect the information if they want fast chargers. We do have access to fast chargers. How many do they want? trenching, you know, that in residential, it's not a big deal, but when you're dealing with commercial property and they want to do some trenching, well, some commercial property is very developed. There could be sewage lines, there could be, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can be underground. And whereas for residential, it could cost $35 for every foot of trenching. In commercial, it could be up to $1,000 per foot of trenching, depending on how much development has happened on that property. Okay, so knowing that type of information is very important. Do they want a carport? If you're going to give what type of leasing are they doing? What type of financing are they doing? Are they wanting to buy their system? I think in Florida, they do not allow PPA, so you could ignore that. Are they wanting to buy it cash, or are they lease financing? You would pick that there. And then right here, this is very important. What do you want to make in commission? Okay, so here in California, in that market could be different. So on leases, you know, we do have a cap that you can charge up to $1.25 in margin. And here's what that means. I don't know what the average size is in Florida, but here in California, the average system size is 6,800 kilowatts. Okay, so if you charge $1, you just made a $6,800 in commission. Okay, if you whatever it is, I tend to sell my stuff 70 to 90 cents. Now, one thing about when you decide what you want to charge, try not to change from client to client. Okay, you have to. The feds have determined that discretionary pricing is discriminatory pricing. So if you charge 90 cents, charge 90 cents. You know, now there might be differences. There might be reasons where you have to lower or to compete. Well, that's a legitimate reason to fluctuate. But if you're charging one person 90 cents and you charge another client 50 cents and it's similar, why did that happen? So we want to make sure that we use we do everything right. So pick a price and stick to it as close as possible. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so on leases, here it's again, $1 is very fair to charge on a lease. On purchase financing, we've noticed that on those, because their payment's going to be higher, you're going to have to keep those probably 50, 60 cents. There's less money to be made on a purchase. I mean, you could try to sell it for more, but you're probably going to lose that deal. Does that make sense to everybody? So, all right. So, the utility bill, you would upload the utility bill. This is for PDFs or documents. If they send you, some people take snapshots and they send you a snapshot with their phone. You would this other one's for JPEGs. If you have any other additional documents that you want to download, now there's a tool called API, and we'll send this to you, where you're able to the clients can grant you access to download their electric usage. Okay, when you download their electric usage for 12 months, that's where you'll be able to build the most accurate system. Okay, so if you're able to get that, then you would upload that there. Any questions on the intake form? Okay.
On that intake, not intake form, but at the very end, does that work with every single company that has a digital way of getting that?
So I believe so, but I'm going to double check. Well, you know, I may have, let me make sure API works in Florida. I think it does, but pretty much what you do is you create an account with API, and then you email a link to the client, and the client sets up an account where they pretty much grant you access, and pretty much you have access to see their electric usage. I believe it's nationwide, but I will confirm that. I will confirm that information. Yep. So good question.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. So so that's pretty much, again, we'll have all the marketing stuff, your emails all set up. Let's see, did y'all get your welcome email by any chance? Okay, so that'll go out at the latest by tomorrow, and your emails will all be set up. And the reason why you want to be accessing your emails, because we share a lot of information. We share products, we share all that good stuff. So you want to make sure you log into that. Let's see. Give me a second.
Adam, I have a question about the email.
Yes, what's the
Is
question?
is it a blanket ordeal for everybody to have it directly to your personal email, or can I actually use it as individually,
Explain.
meaning separate?
What do you mean?
I would like to have the business email on its own.
Yeah, no,
separate to-
definitely. If you don't want it to, yeah, if you're going to be logging into, we use iKnows. So you go to the iKnows webmail and you log into your emails. There's an app for your phone. So definitely, if you do not want it forwarded to your personal email, then yeah, you do not need to do that. Yeah,
And we
yeah,
need all this information on that welcome email.
yeah. It'll be on the
or-
welcome. Yeah, yeah. So what'll happen though, the very first email you will get in your personal email, and then you can log in and set that all up. Okay. All right. Let's see. Da-da-da.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. All right. So this is you know, it could appear overwhelming, all that we need to learn to be in the solar industry, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. So the essentials of solar cells. These are the 6 things that you need to know in order just to communicate with our clients. Just general information. Uh, it's not as sometimes we make it more complicated than it is. There's only 3 pieces of equipment that's put on some of these houses: the panels, the inverters, and the batteries. That's it. 3 pieces of equipment. So you need to know how the panels work, the different options of panels, the degradation. We'll talk about that, the types of inverters, and then the batteries, which in Florida may not be such a big thing in Florida. It is Mike, is that an accurate statement that batteries are not such a big deal in Florida?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So some of this I'm just going to go through it real quick. Here in California, you would be doing a client a disservice to sell them a system without a battery. The client would needlessly be paying money to the electric utility companies if you don't get them battery here in California. Now everybody has access. If you have family members, friends in California, then you could sell them. You could sell systems in California. Now, having said that, you need an HIS license to sell in California, but you would do everything under Isabel's name. So, and then the other thing that we'll be discussing is the electric utility companies, finance options, and then know your customer. So we'll go over that. Let's see. Let's start off with. All right. Everybody can see my screen? Can everybody see my intro to solar financing? Okay, excellent. All right. So we'll be talking about the financing types, financing terms, and alternative financing options. In fact, this is where I think we have our biggest distinctions. Let me tell you a little bit about Solar Energy Plus. We are set up to be like a broker model. What we mean by that is we don't only have one finance option, one lease option. We actually have more options than some of the larger companies such as Sunrun, SunPower, because our goal is to have, in fact, we have like 4 or 5 different lease options, and we'll go over the list of what we have. So yes, so anyway, so we have more financing options, and then we'll go over alternative financing options. So ideally, the client's going to make them get the biggest savings if they're able to buy cash. Most clients do not have that luxury to buy their systems cash, so that's where this comes in. The traditional financing, up until beginning of last year, purchase financing was a way to go. Interest rates were at an all-time low. You could get solar rates anywhere from 0.49 to 0.99. I know when we got our solar, we have a 0.99 interest rate on our solar system. So so it was a fixed payment, fixed term. There is a tax credit that you can apply even to purchase financing, and they'll do what's called recasting, which we'll explain in a little while. But pretty much at the end of the term, you own the system. Okay. Dealer fees is something that you would pay when you're purchasing a system. It used to be that the dealer fees were very minimal. Now, with the interest rates being so high, dealer fees can be as high as 42%. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to pay 42. Pretty much you're just adding 42% to the cost of the system, and you're eliminating the benefit of the tax rate, which is 30%. So you're paying dealer fees more than what the tax rate is. Now, we do have a brand new financing partner that works in every state, including Florida, that has 0 dealer fees. That's huge. I mean, that when you're competing for purchase business, that will set you apart from the competitors. If they're using GoodLeap or they're using Infin, whatever it is, 0 dealer fees is going to allow you to compete and win on more purchase business. Okay. The other thing about it is a credit union option. There are some other credit unions that will offer a 0 dealer fee, but on the most part, credit unions are non-transferable, meaning that when the client sells the home, that system has to be paid off. Our credit union, we can use them in all 50 states, no dealer fees, and it's transferable. That is huge. Again, when you're competing against somebody else, that distinction will set you apart. Okay, so just remember those 2 points. It's transferable, and there's no dealer fees on our purchase finance option. Now, they do have to credit qualify. So not everybody can just because they want it doesn't mean they're automatically gonna get it. I want to say that the qualifying credit score is 660. I will send a cheat sheet to everybody on it, so you have the details of how that works. But again, I'm excited about that product. We've only had it like for 3 weeks. So purchase financing, pretty straightforward. Everybody, I think everybody understands that. Yes.
Would that be on the display of giving them the like when you're talking to the customer, you have the company sends us, but Solar Energy Plus sends us the essentially what we're going to offer them. Is that going to be in the offer in itself about that financing if they do actually qualify? Or
so you won't know, because pretty much and here's the unique, in fact, you opened up something very, very important on solar sales that's a little bit different. The unique thing about solar sales, it's a 2-part close. Okay, if you go to a car dealership, the whole idea about going to a car dealership is they want you to leave with the car. They know that once you leave the car, the lot, the odds of you coming back are nil. Solar's a whole different thing. You do not have enough information to close a deal on the initial interaction. Okay, so your initial interaction is about sharing the benefits of solar, okay, and pretty much the why they want to get away from the electric utility company that's going up. Okay, so that's all, and gathering information. That's all you do on the initial sale. You do not have enough to close that sale. So after you do the intake form questionnaire. In fact, we have on our learning center, there's a questionnaire you can download. And I think you had one also, right, Mike? Yeah. So
yeah, I sent it over to the team.
Perfect.
I did a copy, and so everybody should have a copy of it.
Yeah. So that's where you gather the client information. So with that information, you complete the intake form, and if the client's interested in purchase financing, they say, I do not want to lease a system, I only want to purchase a system, then we'll send you a quote for that. Okay. And that's on the second meet. Or on the second meet, then you'll pretty much inform them of the details of what they're getting, the benefits of it and all that. Does that answer your question?
yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it right when we get on the second time to communicate with the homeowner. We're basically going to be giving them that proposal that's going to be whatever it is that they wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing about it is, you can give them multiple options, and everybody might have a different opinion about this, but sometimes when you give the client too many options, they just give up. You know, when you, it's like, you know, when you go to a store and there's only 2 ties to choose from, well, you're gonna pick one of the 2. But when you see 30 of them, it's like you leave, it's like, you know, you don't know. So sometimes
So
when
this
you
is
give the client,
This is really to be under your sleeve in order for you to be able to use it to close.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so again, now what we do want to, what we don't want to do is steer the client. We have the tools and we have the options. We have all the financing tools that your client. So our job is to educate the client. We don't steer them. Um, you know, but based on knowing your customer, you know, if they say that payment is the biggest thing for them, then we're not going to offer them purchase financing because the payment's going to go up, right? But again, it's getting to know your client. Then based on your what you found out, then you present them the option that's going to do that for them. Okay. So purchase financing, power purchasing agreement doesn't apply in Florida. Pretty much, it's just another name for lease. There's a few little differences, but my understanding is there's a push in Florida to make power purchasing agreement available, but I think that's been going on in conversations already for 3, 4, 5 years. So I don't know how quick that's going to happen. So we'll just skip that one. The lease. So all the lease products do require immediate savings. Okay. On a purchase financing, if the client wants it and they qualify, they can get it. But on the lease, if there's not an immediate day 1 savings, even if they have excellent credit score, they cannot get a lease. There has to be a savings from day number 1. Now, here in California, again, because we pay the highest electric rates in the nation, it's not hard for there to be immediate savings. The savings is anywhere from up to 60% in California. Over there, the rates, the cost per kilowatt is a lot. It's a fraction of what we pay over here. But there does have to be immediate savings on day 1. Okay, so the way it's a fixed payment. In annual fixed payment, and there's a way where you could have fixed payment throughout the term, and I'll explain that. But here's one thing that a lot of people don't know. It's when you're getting a lease, you're paying on the projected production. You're not paying on usage. Right now, your client that uses you know, the public utility company, electric company, they're paying based on what they use. Okay, so that's why it's very important to build the right system, because you are paying on what it's going to produce. Whether they could go on vacation to, you know, turn everything else on their home, not use anything, they're still going to have a bill because it's based on production, right? So that's where you want to be careful, where, yeah, you want to give them a little bit of wiggle room in case they make changes in their usage, but you don't want to oversize the system because the client may be needlessly paying more than they need to. But it is based on production, okay? Because they're able to calculate what's going to produce in the year, even though in December it produces more than the winter. They still base it on what it estimated to produce on a annual basis. Now, the good thing about the lease in comparison to a purchase is it does have better warranties than somebody buying a system. Because it does have production guarantees. Pretty much, the lease company is guaranteeing that's going to produce a certain amount. Okay, and in the absence of it producing that amount, the client's going to get a credit for that amount. Okay, so so again, the warranties are there. If something's not working, the panel's not working, then it's to the benefit of the finance company to send a technician out to make sure that it's operating. Now, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, you mentioned that the company you were with, they pushed purchase financing more than leases, correct? Yeah. So lease, I'm a fan of the lease program. It's a great product. Again, you don't steer clients, but most people, with everything going up and people are looking to save money, lease is the way to go. It's quite a bit cheaper than a purchase financing. Now, the good thing about Sunnova, so you're going to have Sunnova, you're going to have SunPower, you're going to have Everbright. and some other lease companies. Okay. SunPower's the more pricier end of the leases. Sonova, we priced out a Sonova last week with battery backup, and it was 10 cents a kilowatt. That's very inexpensive. With SunPower, I think the cheapest I saw was like 17.5 cents per kilowatt. So there's a price difference. Sonova is cheaper. So again, and they do have production guarantees. Lease prepaid, that's an option where the client can pretty much pay the future payments minus the future payments, and they don't have I'm sorry, my brain's fried. I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, they just pretty much get rid of the bill for the remaining of the term. Now there's a lease buyout, which is a little bit different, where after year number 5, they can pay off the lease system. Now, what happens when they pay off the lease system is they're giving up the production guarantee. So sometimes there's not a benefit to do that. I mean, they still have the manufacturer warranties, they still have that kind of stuff, but when they do a lease buyout after year number 5, they do lose some of the benefits of going having a lease. Okay. On a lease, of course, they do not own the system, and they do not get the tax credit, the 30% tax credit. Okay, so just remember that. Any questions on that? I know I'm sharing a lot of information.
Yes, I have a question. The lease,
Okay.
I said the lease prepay and the lease buyout is there's a difference. You were saying after 5 years, the buyout, if they lose some of the benefits, but what about the lease prepay? They don't lose any benefits, or
No, they don't lose any. Pretty much what they're doing is and it's not very common for people to do that, but they just want to get rid of their future bill. They're just prepaying their bill. That's all they're doing. So the
okay.
warranties are still there. Yeah, everything, the monitoring, everything, it stays exactly the same. That's a good question. Yeah. So it's for the clients that they want to get a bill off of their, off of their list, and they still maintain the warranty. Good.
So the lease buyout, you own the product if you do that, or
On a lease buyout, correct.
you own
You own the system.
so you lose the warranties. Okay, you'll lose some of the warranties.
You will have the manufacturer warranties, the equipment warranties, but you won't lose like
Okay.
the production guarantees. So the lease company is the company that gives you the production guarantees. And pretty much when you do a buyout, you lose the production guarantees.
Okay, I get it better now. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very good.
Mhm.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So is the lease financing, is it transferable like the purchase finance?
Say that again?
Is the lease financing transferable also? And it
Yes, good
transfer?
question. Good question. Yes. So they're transferable. Now,
Yeah.
with some companies, it's easier. Like Sonova is one. Sonova, Sunrun, SunPower. Those are easy to transfer when they sell the property. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, and that's there's some companies, especially like GoodLeap, I can't think of Infin, where they make room to transfer the systems, but their business model is to make it transferable as last recourse. They don't want to make the financing transferable to the new buyer. So the good thing about Sonova, Sunrun, SunPower, those are easy to transfer. So good question.
All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. So the escalator, I think, did I already show you the escalator? Yeah, so the escalator on a lease, you'll want to do an escalator calculator, escalator printout, put what their initial payment is, and then let them know on month number 13, their payment's going to go up. On the escalator, you have the option of choosing 1, 2, 3, and I want to say up to 4% increase every year. Now you have the option of selling a lease without an escalator. if you know a client's going to be in their home 2-3 years because that's a growing family, they expect to get promotions and they expect to, it's an entry level home and they expect to move up, then the deal with the escalator might be perfect for that client. If this is somebody that they say, you know what, I'm going to keep this home forever, I don't want my payment to go up. Year number 9 is like the cut even point where the financing without an escalator, because the payment is higher when you get a financing without an escalator. Okay. Now, what I've noticed, for example, we have an area here in California that's not PG&E. Their rates are very low. In order for there to be a savings, we had to give them an escalator, because when they were getting that fixed payment for the term, the whole term, there wasn't an immediate saving. So if you ever have an issue that you're trying to put in a deal and it's not it's not allowing you to finish that system, it's probably because you don't have an escalator and you need to add an escalator for there to be an immediate day 1 savings. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So dealer fees. We already spoke about dealer fees. Purchase financing, on the most part, they have dealer fees. We don't, because of that relationship. Now, if they choose to change it, here's part of our business models, just so everybody knows. This is part of the Solar Injury Plus business model, how we operate. Okay, when you're a sales organization, there's only 2 ways to make a profit. One way is in charges, okay? The other way is in volume, okay? As like that credit union option that we established 3 weeks ago, there's a lot of companies that have that same credit union, but they have dealer fees because they as a company, they choose to take some of that profit. We pass on all the benefit to the sales team, okay? Because we are going for volume. We're not going for adding charges, okay? So that's the same reason, even if you look at our products in the store, the little generators, I mean, we have the ability to mark it up, but we're trying to pass all the benefit onto the sales team, because if the sales team's successful, we're automatically going to be successful. I mean, that's just our business model. So again, we don't add any dealer fees. If you're using a product, for example, let's just say you have a client that has 620 credit score. We have financing option for that kind of stuff. But those have dealer fees, not because we added them, because they come with the financing. Okay, we do not add on any of our products. We do not add a single dealer fee or contract. They go under different names, contractor fees. Okay, so I just want to point that out, because anyways, I could chase rabbits on that. So, anyways, so transferable, knowing and informing the client when the system is transferable and non-transferable is huge. The solar energy industry is a great industry to be in. Unfortunately, there's a lot of companies that are not being ethical in how they do stuff. We had this situation. In fact, I still have the text screenshots of a person guaranteeing it's transferable, and I'm looking at this client's contract, and I'm seeing, that it's what he's saying is not accurate. So we want to make sure that we inform the clients of accurate information. Part of our philosophy as a company is there's no gray area. There's right and wrong. That's it. There's right and wrong. The gray areas are invented. People invent them for convenience. There's no such thing as gray areas. There's right and wrong, and we do what we can to take care of our clients. Some financing does have maximum DTI or debt to income. So there's going to be a cheat sheet in fact, I think Mike has a cheat sheet of our different finance partners. Sonova, for those who are in Home Depot, they run their credit, but they don't care about the DTI. Okay, so if they credit qualify, regardless of their DTI, they'll be able to qualify. The credit union financing that we discussed, their DTI is 60%, which is huge. That's a high DTI. And the last thing is recast. This only applies when a client is doing a purchase financing of their system. Okay, so let's just say the client bought their system and the system's $40,000, and they got their tax credit, so now they want to apply $10,000 towards their towards their balance of their solar system. Okay. They can recast their loan so that their payment will go down for the remaining of the term. Okay, so different financing types do give a limit. So I want to say our credit union will allow you to do that up to 3 times in the term of the loan. Okay, so pretty much so long as it's either 10% of the original balance or 2,500, whichever is greater, they can recast and adjust their payment. Any questions on the recast? Okay.
Would you mind explaining that again? Because I kind of lost you in the middle.
Okay, let me download a tool here. On our website. Let's go here. No, I appreciate you asking these questions because I want to make sure I'm going through a lot of information. And you'll have access to this tool also. Okay. All right. So let's just say the client's system is 40,000 bucks. That's what they owe. Okay. And let's just say they have a 20-year term. Okay. Their payment's $310 a month. Okay. But let's just say they filed their taxes, they got their tax credit, and now they want to pay a lump sum against let's just say they want to pay $5,000 against their solar system. Okay. So now their balance is 35,000. Okay. Their loan would recast, and now instead of them having a payment for $310,
Got it.
their
Got it. They
payment
can do
is
that
271.
up to 3 times. Got it.
Yeah, so they can do that up different loans have different options. The credit union that we have will allow them to do it up to 3 times during the life of
This
their
is almost like a single interest rate loan, but you only do it 3 times to pay it off.
yeah,
Lower down the principal so your payments go down. Got it.
exactly, for the remaining term. Yep. Good question. Good question. All right, so let's see. Where did that screen go? Where did my all right. Now there's alternative financing options. Actually, I don't know. Mike, do you know if Florida offers the PACE program? I don't know if that's in California.
Yeah, we looked into it a little bit, and I didn't see where they did allow it. That was something that we was gonna follow back up on.
Okay. All right. So personally, I'm not a fan of it. If you do offer it, if they do offer it over there, you know, they have that old saying, Reagan said, one of the scariest things to hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And that's what the PACE program is. It's pretty much for clients that did not qualify for anything else, and the government saying, put this on their house. Clients end up paying more than they should. So I'm not a fan of it. Used right, it can benefit clients. There's a company here not too far from where we're at. They only do this program, but they use this program to gouge clients. So again, if they don't offer it, we won't even discuss it until we find out. HELOCs, if clients want a cash price, you know, they can take equity of their home if they have it. And consolidation refinancing, we do have a number of people that are licensed to do mortgages. So, or you can establish a relationship with somebody in that area to referral sources. Go meet with a good loan agent, somebody that's been in the industry for a while, and tell them, you know, we have clients. I may have clients that are interested in refinancing to pay off their solar, you know, and let them become a referral source for you. Okay. And then okay, so that's pretty much. Oh, well, no, we came up with another new product. But it's a PPA, so it wouldn't work in Florida. But we have a no credit PPA program. Again, a PPA is almost like a lease. So, but you know what? It only applies to California. So if you have anybody, we do have a no credit PPA for California. All right. I'm just going to go over this one a little bit, a lot quicker, because a lot of the information is based on California. And you are all in a better, customer friendlier electric utility environment than we are in California. Okay. So some of this would not apply, but being able to share and just knowing how it works, it just allows us some uh, knowledgeable. So the electric utility companies, they're not generating, on the most part, they're not generating or storing. They're just a distribution. So who is the big electric utility company in your area?
Con Edison in New York.
Okay, so same thing. So pretty much clear across the United States. It's just one giant machine. It's all interconnected. I think Texas is the exception where they have their own grid, but the throughout the United States, it's just one giant machine. Energy is stored and generated, hydro, water plants, coal, wind farms, whatever it is. They're transmitted over hundreds of miles, but who your client is familiar with is a local distribution. Okay, so all they do is distribute. There are different types of distribution companies. There are state-run, there's municipalities, there's political subdivisions, there's cooperatives, and there's investor-owned. The state-run are very rare. But what a lot of people don't know, in the United States, there's over 1,400 different electric utility companies. Okay. The municipalities and the political subdivisions, if you're lucky enough to be in one of those, very likely your rates are very, they're not that bad. If you happen to be in an area where they're investor owned, that's you're paying more than you should. So for example, the company where the PG&E that's here in California, and I'm just giving you this information because it would apply in different markets also, is it's why do people invest? Because they're trying to make a profit, right? So like the PG&E, the highest rates in the nation, because you have like JP Morgan, they just bought like 75,000 or 75 million shares. Fidelity Investment, owns like 4% of PG&E because they're trying to make money. Who do they make money off of? Our clients, right? So just knowing how they operate. The other thing is the rate of increase. Okay, I don't know how are the rates going up rather quick there in Florida?
Yeah, every like twice, 2 or 3 times a year.
Really? Okay. So last year in our area, the cost of kilowatts went up 32%. January 1st, it went up another 12%. They just had another approval about 2 weeks ago for another increase. By the end of this year, we'll have gone up another 30%. So that's one of the things you'll want to sell, that when they go solar, you know what you're going to be paying. When they stay independent, when they stay connected to the grid, they can't tell you what they're going to be paying in 5 years, 10 years. Okay. But when they're going solar, that's one of the benefits. You take control of what your future electric bill is going to be. This is all California stuff. Did somebody say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, on the, I forgot what the word actually is. When we were calculating 3% per year. Mike, wasn't it 6% or something like that we were supposed to calculate or something?
I know they.
I'm breaking it down on.
Once we finish doing our little.
In fact, that's a
example.
good point. Let me show you something. I think it's going to answer along the lines of what you're saying right now. Okay. So if I remember correctly. Okay. I think in California, the average electric bill, I'm just gonna put 230. What's the average electric bill in that area? What does anybody pay? Anybody want to throw out their numbers?
Mike, you'd be better talking about that.
What's that?
Man, my electric bill's included in my rent.
Oh, is it? Okay, let's just put $230.
Okay.
Or what would be?
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. All right. Now, again, here in our area, our rate of increase is huge. But did you mention 6%? John? Okay. So if a client, if it goes up 6%, which that would be a dream if that all went up here in California. I mean, that's just that, yeah. But so on year number 243, so you can show them year number 15, let's see. By year number 13, their bill is going to double. Okay. So this is a powerful tool because especially if you have a client that, they don't want lease, but then they don't like the idea of having a bill, $40,000 bill, $45,000 bill. The idea, when somebody has a $45,000 bill, they're looking at a car that they're going to enjoy driving. People don't get excited about solar. I mean, they don't, right? But so the idea of having a $45,000 bill is kind of doesn't make sense. So, but when you compare it to somebody paying 230, going up 6% in 25 years, they will pay $160,511. That's a lot. You compare that with the $45,000 bill plus the interest and all that. So based on the payment, if they had like a no escalator, here, let's use some accurate numbers here to see. Let's use. Okay, I'm using a 20-year term. Actually, let's do 25. That way it's comparable. Okay, so let's change this to 282. 283. All right. Okay, so the clients, they don't like the idea of having this bill. I mean, they have, anyways, but when you compare it to what they would pay if they didn't go electrical, assuming a 6% rate, and here's the thing, California tends to lead, and if our rates are going up at the rate, it's just a matter of time before things change in Florida where the rates are going up quicker than what they are going up right now. But even at 6%, okay, they'd be paying 160,000. Their savings would be 75,000 by going solar. That's not pocket change. That's serious money, right? So does that make sense? Does that answer the question you were asking, John?
Yes. I love this. It's just that I thought we were just only doing 3%, and I figured something with the training that I heard about 6%, but I mean, obviously you can use whatever number, just as long as you can explain why that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like you're saying, I mean, it is more than 6%, obviously based on facts of increments per year. Now, there's certain areas here in Florida, even though I don't have the same experience that Mike does. Mike, would you agree that there's some areas in Florida that are much higher on their increments on their bills other than?
Oh, absolutely. I think every one of them are more than 6%. Is just the minimum.
Oh, wow.
That
Good.
we just give them just to lowball it. I mean, yeah, we're undershooting big time with 6%.
Yeah, and sometimes it's smart to do it this way, because if you use if I put 32%, the clients are thinking you're exaggerating. So I mean, even when I do my deals here in California, I'm putting like 8%. I put 8%, which again, that would be a dream for us. That just so yeah. The numbers still, when people see it on paper, the numbers start to make sense. Now, one thing on any of these tools, if you download them, you personalize it with your information, your contact information, but never send it out as an Excel. Okay, you don't want these tools roaming around and letting so file, when you print this out, file, print this PDF. Okay, and then just save it onto your computer. Okay. All right, so let's good question. Excellent question. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. I would encourage you, download the rates of the markets you're in, be familiar with them. This is two examples of two different, for example, when I get a deal in the Modesto area, I know their cost per kilowatts a fraction of what PG&E is. So what I mentioned earlier about be consistent in what you charge your clients. So when I'm in the Modesto irrigation district, I know in that situation, we got to charge it different. In Modesto, we're going to be selling deals for 30 cents, 40 cents. There's not a lot of profit there. Again, but it's based on territory. It's not based on, it's not the same as another client. So when I mentioned earlier discretionary pricing, discriminatory pricing, it's a different market. So you have to adjust to the market. Does that make sense? Now I want to make sure that's understood, where we want to make sure we're consistent. If I'm going to sell a deal in Modesto, I'm going to be very consistent in how I sell it. If I'm selling a different market, very consistent, because it's not the same scenario. But in a same scenario, we want to make sure that we're very consistent in how we sell it to our clients.
Adam, is that because of the construction of the homes? Is that because there's not
No,
much?
so you know how I mentioned the different types of electric transmission companies, distribution companies. So PG&E is an investor owned. Modesto Irrigation, the example I showed right now is a political subdivision. Okay, so their business model is different. A political subdivision, their idea is to distribute energy. It's a service that they provide. An investor owned, it's about making profit, maximizing profit. So knowing these things it starts to make sense why people are paying different prices for electricity. Okay. So good question.
Thank you. That makes sense.
All right, so there's that. Let's see. Okay. Anybody need a break? Everybody good?
Yeah, I do have a two-part question.
Okay.
So, are there any credits for like a first home buyer? That's the first question, on the system. And then are there any military credit? Any military discount or anything on the program?
Good. Excellent. So two things. One, there sometimes are local programs that will help people go solar. When it comes to the national finance companies that we're connected with, there's not a first-time home buyer program on it. Now, they're automatically going to be saving money to go solar, which that's what a lot of people are especially first-time home buyers are going for. But there's not a program that we have tailored towards first-time home buyers. Okay. Now, in regards to your other question, here, let me go.
Military.
Yep. So as a company,
Say it again.
Again, this is optional. This is something that if we have one person that their focus on the team is towards veterans and active military. Okay, so we created this for this program for that person. Now, and we could adjust it if you could. You know how I mentioned how you have the luxury of choosing how much you sell, whether $1 per kilowatt or whatever, 90 cents per kilowatt. If you're going to tailor towards like veterans, you want to promote it, but what you would do is you would price it different, because pretty much it's incentive that you would offer as a sales rep. Okay, so if you're going to do veterans, then instead of charging $1 for veterans, you would charge 70 cents or whatever it is. So we'll make the marketing available, but that's a decision you would make as a sales rep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay.
Very
all
good.
right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Let me go through. Okay, so let's see. All right. So let's go panels real quick. Three pieces of equipment on a house: solar panels, inverters, and batteries. Panels, 20% of the sun rays are going to be absorbed and turned into electricity. Okay, so just think about it like this. Okay, it's like when you're shooting a basketball. You could shoot in the right direction, but if you don't have the right what do you call it? I guess I shouldn't be using sports analogies. What do you call it? Slope, whatever you call it. It's not going to go in. That's how the sun ray works. You could have a sunny day, but about 20% of the sun rays are going to be being absorbed and turned into electricity. You have south-facing roofs is going to be the most efficient. And as basic as that sounds, it's surprising how many solar sales rep don't know that. So the south-facing roof is the ideal place for solar panels. Okay. Once you start using the east and the west-facing roof, the efficiency drops down 15%. If you're using the north-facing roof, it drops 30%. Now, if you have a battery and you didn't have enough room on the south-facing, and you have a battery and you're doing what's called time of use battery, and I'll explain that in a minute, then you're going to want to choose the west side of the roof to put the batteries. Okay, and I'll explain that in just a few minutes. So the other thing is, let's see, I have notes on, let me find my notes on this. Okay, give me 1 second. I was going from memory, but okay. The slope of the roof makes a difference. If you have a client with a flat roof, we do have the option of adding the putting the angles on it, so we're good on that. Degradation. Okay, this is huge. Okay, a lot of people, especially they know somebody that got solar 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and their system's not producing like before. And that's because the technology has advanced substantially. Okay, so the degradation, year number 1 is going to have the most degradation. And that's usually tied to the install. And year number 1 is going to be about a 3% degradation, which means it's going to lose 3% efficiency on year number 1, on average, year number 1 efficiency. Okay. After year number 1, it's going to degrade at about 0.5% to as little as 1/10 of 1%. Okay. So it's possible after 10 years with, you know, that it only goes down 1% in degradation. Now, and that's because the technology has gotten better. So even if you use the 0.5% degradation, you're looking at 20 years, that system still operating at 90% efficiency. So the rest of the equipment, such as the batteries and the inverter, you might need to change, but with the technology on these panels, they outlive the term of the loan. Okay, so that's a big selling point. The other thing is, one of the things that can cause degradation primarily at the very beginning is the install. Either they can, and I would encourage you, if you're trying to you just feel comfortable about the industry, these are the 6 areas that you're going to want to study. Just immerse yourself in these 6 areas. Okay, but back to the panel. So one of the reasons that panels can lose effectiveness is when they're installed, the clamps are either overly tightened and it cracks the glass. Areas where there's weather fluctuation. For example, we have an area here called the Mojave Desert. It's hot during the day, but it can get cold at night. That degradation causes the systems to, or that change in weather causes the system to degrade quicker. Let's see. The other thing is, people are going to want to know, what does dust do? Okay, dust, on the most part, is very minimal, unless you're in a very dusty area. The effect of dust on this is very minimal. Usually the rain by itself, if what is sufficient to keep those clean enough. What a lot of people think is if they get somebody with a power washer cleaning it out, that actually will hurt their system. It has a coating. The panels have a coating that, I've heard people say, they want to scrub it and they want to use chemicals. You want to let your clients know you don't want to do that. You power wash them, you use chemicals, you just made those panels less effective. Okay. If they want to wash, use soft sponges and water, soapy water, but very minimal chemicals. Again, it's a simple thing to keep them clean. So again, just general information on that. Let's see. Anyway, I'll move on from that. I would encourage you to read panels on. In fact, I think we have some articles on that. Inverters. You have microinverters and string inverters. You have optimizers. I know for some of y'all this is just repeat information, but for those who are new, string inverters are probably the most popular. It's the more cheaper way of getting the inverters. Having an inverter. And here's what the inverter is. Let me back up. An inverter is pretty much the brains of the operation. It's what converts the direct current to AC, alternating current. Okay. It's also the inverter that measures the efficiency of the system, and the inverters that allows to communicate when the system's installed. They'll have an app where they're able to see the efficiency of their system. So this is the brain of the system. Okay. The string inverter will tie a group of panels together. Okay, so just picture, let's just say you have 20 panels on the roof. Okay, and on one roof array, you have 6 panels. Okay, all those 6 panels on one slope of the roof will be on one string. Okay, if you have another array, let's say on a different roof, all those roofs will be on another string. Okay. Now, the thing about it is the bad side of a string inverter is they operate at the lowest efficiency rate. So let's just say you have 6 panels on there and one of them has shading, and that one panel is operating at 50% efficiency. All the panels on that string will operate at 50% efficiency. Okay. That's the downside. So if you're in a place where there's a lot of shading, string inverters may not be the route to go. Okay. The other thing about string inverters is they have a single point of failure. Okay. So because they all go into one inverter, they have a single point of failure. Okay. So that's a string inverter in a nutshell. A micro inverter, on the other hand, is every panel has its own little micro inverter. If one of them is getting shady and is operating at 50%, it doesn't affect the surrounding panels around it. It's a little bit, there's more cost associated with it, but it doesn't have a single point of failure. Okay. Any questions on that so far? Okay. Then you have what's called the optimizers. An optimizer is like a hybrid between a string inverter and a microinverter. And it's pretty much an add-on to each panel on a string inverter. Each panel would operate independently. So if one of them is operating at 50% efficiency with the optimizer, it doesn't affect the other panels. But because it's still tied to a single inverter, it still has a single point of failure. That's why I say it's a hybrid, because it has the benefit of microinverter, but then it still has a single point of failure like a string inverter. Okay. So again, I would encourage you to read up on that. Yeah, just go ahead and read up on that. Batteries is not a big deal in Hawaii. In Florida.
And before you continue, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Who makes that decision? Actually creating a system with either micro or string?
So some of it it's automatic based on the financing type. Okay. So for example, when you're doing a SunPower, they use a string inverter. Okay. When you're doing like a purchasing system, and so even the ones that you're doing a string inverter, you can add the optimizers. So if they require it, but when you're doing a purchase system, then you have more luxury of picking what you want. So you would be, if it's in a shady area, then that's where you want to put notation saying there's a lot of shade on this property. because you're going to want to either add optimizers or use a microinverter. So I know that's kind of a muddy response. Because we have the broker model, we have so many different options to choose from. On some of them, it's very, they tell us, okay, this is what you're going to be using. On others, it's pretty much you're giving the luxury to set it up how you want. Okay. Again, every decision you make doesn't change the cost of the system. Okay. Yeah. So I know that doesn't give you a direct answer because we have options, it does change. Does that make
I'm
sense?
thinking it does, but at the same time, I'm thinking if we're doing it virtual, that's almost, we're not there. We're not really seeing the area or the actual slopes or any of that stuff. If we're
Yeah, so
actually in the
good.
house,
So a couple
If
of
we're-
things. In fact, that brings up such a good point. A couple of things. And I think like Mike, when he was up here training, we showed him some of the tools that we use to create the systems. I mean, this stuff's advanced. It calculates how much sun. In fact, it calculates what trees are there already and what shade it's going to create based on the trees that are there. Sometimes, and I've had it before, where they're required to cut back some trees, okay, or they're asked to cut back some trees because the most efficient, plane of the roof is the one that has some shading. Now you also a good thing to do is download Google Earth. Even if you're remote, you're able to see their home. Okay, so Google Earth will allow you to see where they're at. Okay, so good question. Good question. Batteries. In Florida, you're not required to have batteries. Of course, if you add batteries, there's benefit, but there's also cost. The misconception a lot of people have when they're going solar is that if they have solar panels on their roof, if there's a rolling blackout, they're fine. They're going to be okay. No, it's tied to the grid. So even if they have panels on their roof and the sun's out, if the electric utility company does a rolling blackout or shuts off the electricity, the system's still going to be shut off. And the reason for that is because it's a safety feature. If they're working down the house, down the road from your house, and you're producing electricity and you're sending electricity back to the grid, well, that creates a dangerous situation. So that's why your system will shut off. Okay. So that's misconception number one. So the way around it is to get a battery. Misconception number two is that if you have a battery, that automatically you're going to have electricity if there's a rolling blackout. No. There's what's called time of use battery, which means that in the evenings when your system's not producing, that the reserve that it created during the day, you're going to be getting electricity from there. That's time of use. But same thing, if there's a rolling blackout, your system will be shut off, including your batteries. There is what's called backup battery, or usually it's partial backup. Okay. Batteries have a capacity. So if it's a 10 kilowatt battery and you're wanting to charge your Tesla, and your Tesla is going to, use 48 kilowatts to charge up, well, that's why it's called a partial. It's for necessary stuff. It's not for luxury items. So your refrigerator, your internet, a few outlets will be covered in a rolling blackout with a partial backup. Okay, the luxury items like jacuzzis, ACs, EV chargers are not going to be working even with a partial backup. Okay, then you have what's called the full house backup. This is when you're starting now at this point, you already have like 40 kilowatts. That's where you're able to connect everything, ACs and even batteries, even EV chargers. You're going to want to be careful because a car will if you have a hybrid, then you'll be fine. But if you have like a Tesla, or I mean, I think Acura came out with a EV vehicle that now uses 100 kilowatts. So even when you have a 40 kilowatt battery, which is a lot of battery, that doesn't mean you could just splurge on EV cars. Okay. Any questions on that? I know I'm sharing a lot of information. This is like again, essentials of solar cells, a little bit of everything in a yeah.
I have a question, but
Sure.
because I was looking at the videos and I just wanted to be sure. The customer will still get a bill from the utility company along with the solar, what they're paying each month for the solar.
So
Or
yes and no. So yes, there's what's called a true up bill. I don't know what I don't know if they call that the same thing in Florida or in the New York market. If you build the system correct, then that should be very minimal. Now, what happens is, and there's research on this, when people go solar, people tend to change their habits of how they use electricity. They think, okay, now I have solar, now I can use my AC a lot more. Okay, so you can build the system correct, and then now they're using 30% more than what they're using, and your system's not producing that 30% more. So because you're tied to the grid, that excess that you use, you're getting a bill for the difference. Okay,
oh,
so if you build the system correct, then you shouldn't. Now, having said that, there are some utility companies that charge a connect fee, regardless if you're using any of the electricity or not. Okay, so and that'll usually be a flat amount, regardless if you use it or not. Now, what we're experiencing here in California, one of the biggest complaints, and I'll go back to something I mentioned earlier, was there was a solar company, their tactic was advertising go solar for $79 a month, and they would put 6 panels on your roof, regardless of what the needs was. You could have had a 3,000 square foot home, used a lot of electricity, and those 6 panels would only offset 30% of what your usage was. So here you are, now you have this crazy bill, and usually that bill will only come once a year. Now you have like a $4,000 bill, $5,000 bill, because the system wasn't built correctly. Okay, so we want to build systems 103 to 107%. Unless you know they're going to be making a change in the property, then you're going to build it more. You
okay.
build a bigger system. Yeah, that should not be a norm for people to end up with an additional bill that's huge. Again, every electric utility company is different, where they might have something built in, whether you're solar or not.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what you're going to want to know about your markets. That's what you're going to want to know about the areas where you're at. All right. So let's see. Know your customer. Your step number one, getting the electric bill. You really can't know your customer without an electric bill. You know, you could ask a client, well, what's your regular bill and what do you use? And you know, you need a bill. The rest of the stuff that we mentioned on the intake form, and also that questionnaire that Mike gave you, will cover the questions that will allow you to know your customer. Okay, and that's pretty much the essentials of solar cells in a nutshell. And an introduction to Solar Energy Plus. If anybody has any additional questions, if they, whatever it is, you can take my number. I'll put my number in the chat and my email. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm again, my whole role is support. That's what I do. I have been a little bit swamped with the Home Depots. I think last week was the busiest week I've had in my life. Anyways, yeah. So, and this week it seems like it's going to be the same. In fact, anyways, yeah, it's going to be the same. So if I don't respond, I will do my best to respond as soon as possible. My whole thing is I want to make sure, I want y'all to feel like you have the support. Mike is your first person to go to. I think the Florida team is gonna rock it over there. So you'll have the Home Depots. We're working on the Walmart relationship. I'll say this: the Home Depot is sufficient to make that can make careers right there. I mean, I was doing again, I don't know the Florida market as much as over here, but two sales a month, which is not just possible, but if you're putting in 3 shifts a week, 4 shifts a week, it's not only possible, but um, um, highly likely that you exceed those numbers per month. You should be doing very well for yourself, easily 6 figures, doing 2 sales a month from Home Depot. Okay. Again, I don't know the market and how you sell them in that area. Can they sell it? Well, after you price out a few deals, you should see if $1 is a fair price. I'm guessing, anyways, after you price a few deals, you'll be able to see. We'll send you some links. We do need everybody that's going to be at the Home Depots to complete their background checks as soon as possible, because they're ready to, I mean, they're wanting to give us those Home Depot stores yesterday. So, and that's an exciting position to be at, where they want to give us that opportunity. Okay. So, if it turns out that the team grows and we could get a second team out there, we can do that. Okay. So, any questions for me? No questions?
Yeah, so I have a question since I have Tiffany and Mike on the phone. They're going to be doing mostly remote selling. So as far as leads for them, where do you see what do you see the possibility of them getting leads? What's their best?
Yeah, so here's where we're at. Here's we have and I didn't know that they were remote, and I didn't know they were remote. So we put the Walmart leads on hold for right now, because we thought we had enough opportunity with the Home Depots. We didn't know they were remote. So let us re-trigger that. Here's what's happened over here, and the challenge is there was more than we could handle in our market, in the California market. We didn't want to create the same thing over there, because here's the thing: if one, it's an investment, but two, these are the partners that we have for the Walmart leads. If we're not servicing them, then we will lose it. And it's once you get that door shut, I mean, it's more than just leads. It's also the stores. So we would rather have gone in a little bit safe and not risk losing. But again, I didn't know that you had team members that were remote. So we will. I will work on seeing what we can do to get those back up and running.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
because they came on when I told them about those Walmart leads, and I figured that'd be a good opportunity. And even with our Walmart store that we have coming open here, or that's in the plans to come open here.
Yeah.
So that's,
and once we get Walmart leads, once we open up the stores, then we will again, that's still a 2-3 month out before we have our own stores. And at that point, we will need as much, I mean, it's as much as someone can handle in leads. Okay. So let me work on that, Mike. I can't let me work on that. Let me work on the last week. Our minds were, because we were overwhelmed, we pretty much just put a hold on that, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so excellent.
okay.
Yeah. Question, John?
And then also,
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
okay.
I was just gonna say, anything extra that are Spanish speakers, I can probably help out too.
That's good to know. Okay. So you speak Spanish fluently?
Perfectamente bien.
Perfectamente. Muy bien. Very good. Very good. You were going to say, Mike?
Yeah. So Dana was telling me about the mentorship program. I didn't catch everything he was saying about that, but is that also available to our team?
Yeah, it is. So the one thing is that the Florida market is a little bit unique, but so the way the mentoring program works is in fact, there's mentoring programs with other companies, but the way it works here is if you're making $1 on a deal, you're pretty much giving 5 cents of that mentoring of your what your commission would have been to your mentor, which is, for example, Power, which is a large solar company, 50%. If you want to mentor, 50% of your lead goes to which goes to the mentor, which in my opinion doesn't make sense. Why would you give up half of your commission? So you pay that, and then the company pays another 5 cents. So that's how it's worth their time. Okay, and what they'll do is they will pretty much they'll mentor you. Now, if you choose to be a mentor, there's like an agreement that we would send. We do have some very seasoned, very seasoned sales reps. In fact, we're interviewing people today. They just know the ins and the outs of the industry. They know their stuff. They're not figuring out. They have it figured out. Okay, so we have quality people that you can be mentored by, and it only affects your commission by 5 cents per kilowatts. Again, that's a great deal. Okay, so to have an extra person to go bounce things off of is a great deal. So thanks for asking that question. Thanks,
So
Mike.
basically it's out of 100% is 5% of your commission.
Yep. And the company pays the other 5%. Here's the thing about it is if there wasn't any skin in the game, people wouldn't take it, people wouldn't value it. So we're willing to make the investment. And again, so it's just a good deal. It's just a good deal. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Well, I do appreciate everybody's, hopefully if you'll have your emails, you'll be getting some information in the next couple of days. And please feel free to reach out to me. I put my name, my phone and my email in the chat box. Please feel free to reach out to me. And I'm here to support in any way that I can. So good.
Thank you.
All right. We'll connect later. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, thank
All
you,
right.
man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.